Hello guys, welcome to this tutorial. Well, actually my first tutorial, so I apologize for the guerrilla style videography. On this tutorial I'm going to paint a thunderwolf, which is from the Space Wolf army. In this occasion I normally play Tau actually, but I am assisting my girlfriend with this brand new army. She bought the Star Collecting Space Wolves, and comes with a pack of thunderwolves. Now this one, for example, the rider is still not painted. Let the camera adjust a little bit. Well, it's not adjusting. Well, bottom line is this one is already painted. There you go. These guys are painted on a Timberwolf scheme, which is mostly black and white. See some blood on the mouth going on. Used Citadel blood for the blood god for the details on the mouth. Some of them on the paws, you know, like a wolf thrust attack directly from the paws. It's not very visible. Sorry for that light. But anyhow, so today I'm gonna cover this tutorial for painting this Timberwolf scheme for the Thunderwolves of the Space Wolf army. The rider's still not done yet, since she's gonna do that herself, but basically I'm just assisting with the actual wolves. So I have this other model right here, which is already primed in black, and basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cover the entire model with Mechanicus Standard Gray from Citadel. I'm gonna coat this miniature completely with this color, and be right back in a moment. So I'm back with the same model. Basically what is going on here, I'm actually covering the entire model with Mechanicus Standard Gray from Citadel. I'm basically just basing or coating all this model. This is normally a fairly quick process, and I'm using a very beaten up brush to do this because of the texture on the fur. It's kind of rough, so I don't want to use a very fine, very good brush from Citadel or anything like that. Just using an old beaten up brush to go through the fur, try to coat it as much as possible. And basically what I do with this kind of things to avoid fading out any details is water down a little bit the color. So I take some from the container. I properly close that so I don't get dry paintings, and I use my palette. I like to use a crystal palette to make sure that I get the right color, and just basically covering everything. I haven't been very careful with the saddle and everything because I'm just gonna go ahead and paint over it. Not being very careful either on the mechanical leg, which we have going on right there. Not being very careful, so all those details are gonna be painted over that, so I'm not too concerned. So basically I'm just going through that. Not much complication. Here it is, a little bit under the belly. I'm gonna grab a little bit more paint, put it on my palette. These nice blacks cover first, and then some gray going on. I'm gonna water down a little bit to have a better flow from the brush to the model. Of course, this is gonna leave a very thin layer. You probably, if you use this technique for your own miniatures, you're probably gonna be able to see the priming before, or the original priming. You're probably gonna be able to see it through the first layer, but it's you rather have a very, very thin first layer and then add another very thin layer above it. This is to prevent the details from fading out with the paint. There's a little clog right here. I'm gonna try to spread that as much as possible to not lose any details. So the fur in this miniature is actually very, very impressive. It's actually very, very high detail. I really like it. I was very excited yesterday that I was painting the first model, and I really liked it. I haven't played with Space Wolves, to be honest. I have played against it, but not with it. As I said at the beginning, I normally play with the Tau army. But talking about painting, I really had a lot of fun painting this one, or these guys right here. Barely started with this because the box is brand new actually, and we're very excited about finishing it. So I'm almost done with the coating, and be right back in a moment. Okay guys, so now the coating for the fur, it's already finished. I actually took some time as well to paint the metallic parts. I used lead belcher from Citadel, this one, lead belcher, oh here it is, to paint the metallic parts. I really like this one because once you actually use a wash on it, it has a very, very distinct metal looking color. Well, that's of course the idea, but to me, I rather have a very natural color. I really like having my miniatures painted in a very, very natural manner. I don't like them to look cartoony or nothing like that. So that's why I actually used to like lead belcher for the metallic parts. Really natural metallic look, especially after we add the wash, which in this case I'm gonna use Null Oil from Citadel as well. I use everything from Citadel, to be honest. I haven't tried any others. I was recommended the miniature painting or the miniature paints from Vallejo, but I haven't tried it, to be honest. I've been using only Citadel paints. So basically what I'm gonna do right now is wash the entire model with Null Oil. I'm gonna make sure I coat everything with this wash, because the Timberwolves are not completely black, also not completely gray or nothing like that. They have several colors on the fur. I really like Timberwolves, so I'm just gonna go really heavy on the wash to go through all the crevices. I'm making sure that I cover the entire model. I'm going through the metal as well, just coating everything. Oh, I forgot a small part right there. Oh, my nail is covering the miniature. There it is. So I forgot this little part right here. I didn't see it up until now, but I'll just go ahead and finish it later. It's not a problem. So again, I'm using this very, very beaten up brush again to do this task. I don't like to use very fine brushes on such an irregular surface, because the bristles go just, well, they won't be as good. So I like to use fine brushes on fine textures. And I'm just going really heavy on the wash. I'm just going really heavy because I want this to look way darker than this. This is gonna be really, really, really dark, not black completely. That'll come later. But I want this to look very, very, very dark, especially the fur. The metal parts, well, they're gonna look stained, but not black, of course. So I'm just being very thick and, very heavy on the wash. Well, this is to have a very, very nice texture. Have the crevices all covered up. try to enhance as much detail as possible. I just fear that I've been holding the miniature a little bit above the camera. Sorry about that. Sorry guys. I'm pretty new at this situation, so I hope you excuse me for this. And I'm just going through the entire model, basically making sure that I cover everything, that I shade all those crevices, make sure all the details just come up from the model. I'm almost done right here, and I'm gonna stop the video for a moment. I'm gonna let this dry because we cannot continue painting on this model as of right now, of course. But here it is. So let me dry this off and be right back with you guys in a moment. Okay guys, so moving on with this model, the wash is almost dried. It's not completely dry, but it's just some crevices right here on the neck that are a little bit wet. Still not completely, but I'm not too concerned because the next color I'm going to use is actually black. I'm going to use Abaddon Black from Citadel again. And basically what I'm going to do is actually a dry brush, very heavy dry brush on the back of the wolf. This is to have the effect first. I'm gonna add some white highlights afterwards, but first I'm gonna go through the black, simply because it's way more on the body. The whites are more certain details in the body, but the black, or in the fur, but the black parts are actually way more than that. So I'm just gonna grab some paint from the container. I'm gonna put it on my palette, close this properly. There we go. I'm gonna spread out, and making sure that the brush is almost dry. We don't want this to be completely dry. I'm just gonna go through the top of the body. I'm gonna make sure I just do this dry brush on the back. Normally, I've been watching to some pictures of wolves, timber wolves to be precise. They have this very distinct, like a Siberian Husky. They have this very distinct black fur on the back, part of the legs as well. They're kind of similar to each other, and basically that is what I'm trying to do here. Try to achieve this very nice black coat on the back. I'm not being careful on where do I apply it. I'm just making sure that I stick to the back, some on the legs, because, well, it cannot be uniform, right? I mean, the fur on a wolf is never gonna be uniform. Never gonna be the same in every wolf. So basically I'm just doing this. I'm not even making sure that I cover it up completely, because no animal will have a uniform fur on top of it. There's gonna be some colors coming out of it. There's gonna be some different kinds of hair coming out of the back, different patterns. It's never something that you're gonna see very, very it's not like something handmade. So I'm gonna grab a little bit more paint on my palette again, making sure that the brush is kind of dry and not completely. I'm just gonna continue on the back of the wolf, a little bit on the face, because I'm gonna add some white details afterwards. Now, I'm not being very careful in this area. Any small mistakes you make during your painting process, especially during the dry brush process, it can be fixed afterwards, so it's not a problem. Anyways, I'm pretty sure you guys are gonna be experienced on this topic. Maybe somebody that is barely starter on this kind of things. So I'm pretty sure I'm telling you something that you guys already know, but it never hurts to share something else. If you already know, just to give you a little bit more ideas. If you have some of your own, always welcome to share on the commentary box. Now I'm doing the black first because the white normally goes in different areas of the body, especially on the face and the lower part of the legs. So I just want a blend color in certain areas. I want the fur to transform into a white. So I'm going on top of the head as well. Again, not being very careful on the metal areas. It's gonna add to it instead of just staining it. It's never perfect. Here it is. This light is not helping me a lot to show you guys what I'm trying to show you, but I hope you guys get the idea. I'm just gonna add a little bit more over there. I don't know if you can tell that it's kind of weird. And now that the dry brush is completed, the black dry brush is completed, I'm just gonna go through the white. I'm gonna use a smaller brush to add the white details. I'm gonna use white scar to do this highlights. Shake it a little bit. And I'm gonna use a rather, well, not very small brush, just rather regular for this size. These brushes are kind of hard, which is good. We want that. We want a hard brush rather than a very soft brush for the highlight to be applied properly. Making sure this time that the brush is actually dry. I'm gonna go through certain areas only, like eyes for example, and some white details here and there. There's gonna be a very nice effect. Timberwolves' faces are kind of white. Leaving some shades here and there. Here. See if you can see the dog, for example. Hair sometimes, or the fur sometimes, will go from one color to another one. If you ever taken a close look to a dog's hair, you will notice that their hair is not, they change color. Almost a bright, a very thick layer in there. I don't want that. I want this to be very, very thick. Just add to it a little bit. And see, the details are already coming out. The details on the face. Of course, that nose is going to be black. The details are coming out really nice. I'm gonna go ahead and brush black a little bit on top of the nose to have that distinctive pattern. But as of right now, I'm not very worried about that. Now I'm gonna use a smaller brush to actually go underneath the neck and parts of the legs. I'm gonna grab a little bit more. I'm gonna make sure that the brush is almost dry. And I'm going to select a few parts from the model. I'm going to go underneath the neck. I'm going to try to cover the fur here. There we go. Because normally they have their belly kind of white. But at the same time, I'm leaving some details underneath it. Some very dark details underneath it. Going through the neck. And it's going through a very nice gradient of color from white to black. Just gonna go a little bit over here. See, again, the hair is never very uniform. I'm just gonna highlight a little bit on top. The belly, this one will have more. That was kind of thick. It was not very dry, so I'm just gonna use that part. This brush is pretty much beaten up. That's what it is for. And we'll be back in a moment. Okay guys, so here it is, finished with the white highlights. I also added a very small black you know, shade over there. Well, not shade, actually just dry brush a little bit above the nose and painted the nose black. Corrected some parts here on the cheeks, you know, to have this this nice gradient of color. The belly, part of the belly right here, the legs, and the tail is going from black to white in a very nice gradient color. Now, I would like to also add yet another color. As I said, wolf's fur is not perfectly white or black. It's actually a mixture of various colors. So what I'm gonna do is actually I'm gonna take some dryad bark from Citadel. I'm gonna use this as a dry brush as well, making sure that the brush is pretty dry. This is going to be barely noticeable on the model, but it will add up to it. Basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cover part of the back with some dryad bark, like right here, for example. I'm gonna go right here. It's gonna be very faint color. It's not gonna be very noticeable, but again, it will add up to it. Right here, especially right here on these areas. Because then again, it's not perfectly black. I'm gonna go a little bit on the legs, a little bit on the tail. I'm not being very selective on the areas because, as I said, it's not pretty uniform. There we go. So a little bit of a gradient color right there. And up to this point, we are almost done with the model. This is again based on several pictures that I've seen from real timber wolves. Of course, with sorry about that. Move the camera. And now I'm gonna add a mixture to add some highlights to the fur, and I'm gonna use a very thin thread brush. This is very thin. It's barely noticeable in the camera. But this is just to add some highlights to certain areas of the fur. And what I'm gonna do is basically mix a 2-part Valor Brown, 1 part Dryad Bark. I'm gonna use these 2 colors right here. 2 parts Valor Brown, 1 part Dryad Bark. Water down a little bit. I'm gonna use a Citadel glaze brush for my measure, because I already have that from the previous model that I painted. And I want to make sure I get almost the same color as I did before, so I'm gonna put some a little bit here. That's 1, that's 2. Always make sure you properly cover your or close your paint containers to make sure you don't waste on dry paints. There's a very nice tutorial from Games Workshop on how to make sure that you close them properly to avoid any dry paint. Now this is gonna give us a very light brown, very nice brown, similar to the colors that will actually come out from a wolf's fur. I'm gonna actually, add a little bit more of the Valor Brown, which is yellowish. I'm gonna add 1 more part. It's rather dark. I want a little bit more light. There we go. So that's the color I'm looking for, because this is gonna be for highlighting, where I did the dry brush with the Dryad Bark. I'm gonna highlight a little bit on certain areas. I'm not gonna highlight the entire model. I'm not gonna highlight the entire fur or the entire back of the wolf. I'm just gonna go very selective on certain areas that I want highlighted. I'm gonna water down a little bit the color to make sure I don't lose too much. And basically what I'm gonna do now is select certain areas from the fur on the back, and I'm barely gonna touch the tip of it, making sure that it properly fades away. I don't know if it is kind of visible. Very light touches, and I'm selecting some areas. I'm not gonna highlight the entire back, because that's not how real wolves look like. It will look fake if we do that. As I said, I like to make sure I go as natural as possible. Of course, that means checking a lot of pictures on the internet. Good luck I don't have any wolf nearby my home, so I can look at it up face to face, but looking a lot of pictures from internet, making sure that you get the right pattern down. So I selected a little bit from there. I'm gonna go a little bit above right here, have more light going on over here. I'm gonna water down a little bit more, so I don't want to make another mixture. It's rather difficult to get the very same color again, so I'm just watering down this one, make sure I cover everything I want. Nope, this didn't work. I'm gonna have to add another mixture of the very same paints. I guess I wasn't very generous with the amount of paint, so it went dry real quick. I'm just gonna try to add this. I'm gonna add the Dryad Bark again. Try to get as much as possible and as close as possible to the very same color. I don't want a big variation from the previous color. Trying to be as close as possible. You could allow yourself to go a little bit different on the color, since it's hair. It's not gonna be the same color all the time, but I'm trying to. So And I don't want to use a very thick brush because, you know, I don't want to ruin the design that I have in my mind. So I'm just gonna go back to the very thin brush again. And I'm gonna go on in this part. Some very subtle lights going on in the fur. And well, this is pretty much it. I mean, not much else we can say. I'm not gonna go through the rider myself. As I say, this is a small project that I'm helping my girlfriend with, and she will take care of the riders. I really don't like Marines, to be honest. I like the wolves, but not the actual Marines. So this is it, guys. Hope you enjoyed watching this, and we'll see you soon with another tutorial. Next time I'm gonna cover, I'm about to receive some miniatures from Forge World. I'm about to receive a Yavara battlesuit and an Arbarna battlesuit from the Tau Empire, and I'll try to go through a tutorial in those ones. I'm gonna do 2 different schemes. I'm gonna go through Farsight Enclaves, and also I'm gonna try to go through the Viorla Sept from the Tau Empire, because my entire army is actually based on those 2. I really like those color schemes. So hopefully we'll see each other next time, and if you have any commentaries or any suggestions, any advice you can provide me, guys, well, of course, you're always welcome to leave them on the box, on the commentary box, or send me a direct message. I'll make sure I read them all, and or as much as I can. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and see you next time.